tamarind, cooking up, no rocks in the pan, watching the plan form in the sand, bidding castles out of thoughts in our head, late nights, no sleep in my bed, trying to see my dreams manifest. Look at that, now look at that, we nice. Put the past on ice, I was bad like Mike, now I'm good like Kendrick said, boy, we gon' be alright. I just double my price, I get love on sight, that's the only love I like. Now look at that, we nice. For all the ones who showed up with no motives. That fake love is so bogus. I don't take love from false.
What is going on, everybody? Happy NXT Tuesdays. And this is going to be a regular thing every Tuesday, about the same exact time. We're going to be talking about all things WWE and stuff. So make sure you tune in. But of course, I am your host, Dylan, from the brand new channel, Long Island Wrestling Podcast, formerly known as Last Week in Wrestling Podcast, but now known as Long Island Wrestling Podcast. There's my mascot behind me, Big Baby Bales right there. And of course, we have an exciting show for you because we got a whole lot of stuff to be talking about. Of course, 2 hours of Raw, Samantha Irvin leaving, Motor City debuting. We got a whole bunch of stuff. So make sure you are all tuning in. And of course, for all of you audio listeners, you are going to be able to get this show the very next day. So I cannot wait to hear all of your reactions and stuff later on throughout the weeks. But of course, I cannot do this alone. I can't do these shows alone ever and always, because I always got to have some more awesome people with me doing these shows each and every week. So let me bring up my guest, my guy from, of course, the main man, one of the many men of the Flex Zone podcast that I love working with. Of course, he has his own channel, Kicking It with Leo, where he does a whole bunch of WWE, AEW, and of course, horror content itself. My man, Leo. Leo, what's up, buddy? How are we? Happy Tuesday. Man. Happy Tuesday.
You.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back. Happy that you brought me on. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. You're the first one of these weekly Tuesday shows. So I'm very excited to be doing this with you. You're my WWE guy in many aspects. You're a big fan. Always have been a big fan of WWE. I know you've been a big fan of AEW as well, but WWE, I feel, is more your home than anything else because it's something that we've all kind of grown up with a little more than AEW, since AEW is more of a newer product to a lot of us. But how are you, man? What's going on?
Nothing much. I mean, like I said, I'm happy to be here, happy to talk all things WWE. I mean, we've seen a lot of things change over the last couple weeks. I mean, the last time me and him were on the same page and talking on here as far as wrestling goes was a while. I think probably in the lead up to maybe like WrestleMania, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute, man. So a lot of things have changed in these couple months, and a lot of things is going to continue to change throughout the rest of this year and leading into next year for sure. So
yeah, absolutely. And of course, we're going to get right into it right now. Of course, if you're brand new to my channel or to Leo's channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, ring that bell, and of course, make sure you leave a comment or even just a like. It really goes a long way. But man, let's start with something that just happened yesterday. The queen of the vocals and the announcing, none other than Samantha Irvin, has left WWE. The queen, Ricochet's pride and Joy's better half, has left the WWE for bigger and better things. I hope nothing but the best. But man, this is definitely heartbreaking. You know, we've had our Samantha for a very, very long time. I've been seeing on all social media that everyone's taking it very personally, what has been going on. And I totally understand. But let's talk about it. Of course, Lillian Garcia last night was backstage for Raw and announced Raw's show. So maybe we have our brand new announcer without really announcing it in a sense. But Leo, how you feeling about the change in announcing, of course, for Monday Night Raw?
It took me some time to kind of process it because at first, like when somebody breaks some news, it's always one of those things where it's like, at first, do I want to believe it? Because, sometimes these dirt sheets just put out anything and it's not really actual confirmed. But to hear it from her, I got all the confirmation that I need. I'm not one of these type of fans that will, be like all negative. I always tend to look at the positives of everything. She got to live her dream, and she said it's not the end. She feels like she's still going to be able to do some more things, and I'm looking forward to whatever that is may be. Um, and it's one of those things, not everybody gets to live up that dream and opportunity to be on a pedestal and being on a big platform like that. Um, it sucked in a sense just because even though she was new, she has made a great impact in the sense of ring announcing. I mean, I'm not one to put her in a category. I mean, sometimes it takes time to put people in a certain conversation, but you have great ring announcers. We had Howard Finkel, we had Tony Chimmel, we've had all these great announcers, and I would honestly I wouldn't be surprised for myself, honestly. I put her in the conversation. I mean, we've had so many people, over the years, and she's one of them that I think still will be in the conversation just because of the impact that she has made and the emphasis of how she did her ring announcing. I mean, the last time we really seen somebody that had this much, passion for what they do is Justin Roberts in AEW. I think Justin Roberts is another one that comes to mind. And I'm glad to see that he's doing his thing in AEW. Um, I don't know if Lillian Garcia is going to be a full-time person, but if it is, then I mean, it is what it is. I mean, she still is a legend in the business. Just because she was doing it in the 90s and the early 2000s, she did have some great moments. I know last night didn't seem like it was the best for her just because she was kind of botching some of the ring announcing, and sometimes that's just because of her having being away from WWE for so long and doing other things. So maybe it's one of those things where it's going to take some time to kind of get readjusted and everything, get her foot and back on the door for sure. So I'm not going to judge her too much or be too critical. I'm willing to give it a couple weeks to see how she does. So I'm always one of those type of people that, change isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it can be a good
Mhm.
thing. And maybe for Samantha, she was in a situation where she wanted to do other things. I think she wants to do music. So if that's something that she's willing to go for, I'm all for it. I'm all willing to support people and doing whatever makes them happy. But still, she still made a great impact in being in the WWE for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, beautifully said. I definitely agree with you on all aspects right there. It's nice to see Lillian Garcia. Definitely has some throwback moments. I grew up with Lillian Garcia as a ring announcer and stuff. I didn't grow up, unfortunately, with Finkel, and of course, when I started getting back into wrestling and watching wrestling, it was Samantha Irvin. Doing, of course, SmackDown at the time, and then moving over to Raw for quite some time. And of course, the biggest moment of her career, I guess one of many, was her announcing Cody Rhodes as brand new WWE champion.
Yeah.
We remember that moment. I know there was a lot of, just heartfelt captions on the internet about how we're happy to see how happy she was. And she really brought a new life into the ring announcing that you don't really see as often. Maybe a Justin Roberts is a good pull to say that he brings that authenticity to really announcing matches and wrestlers and why their names and stuff like that compared to somebody else like a Finkel or the others that you mentioned. And, she really brought this very raw, organic energy to the shows itself. Like a lot of us came just to see Samantha Irvin say Chelsea Green and all
Salute.
the
Yeah.
other, yeah, and Solo Sokoa and all the other names that she's announced throughout her time in the WWE. So I'm very happy. I wish nothing but the best for her and all of her future endeavors. I want her to continuously succeed. And hey, if we get her back at a Survivor Series, a Bad Blood, Royal Rumble, ring announcing,
WrestleMania. Yeah.
I'm cool with it, man. I'm so happy with it. Let her keep doing all that she wants to do. I am so with it. And I think this is definitely a great start to a beautiful new chapter for Samantha Irving. But we're going to get right to the next one here. As we know, besides the unfortunate news of Samantha Irvin, last night, Jay was dethroned as our Yeet champion, our Yeet Continental champion. And it was going back to Braun Breaker, which is an amazing athlete nonetheless. But there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of
Hmm.
unanswered questions that are kind of passing through the IWC and just wrestling in general. Like, why was that happen? And what was the point of it? Is it just to keep the bloodline story with Roman and Jimmy now being back to being buddy buddy to go back into them forming a tag team so that way we can take down the bloodline 2.0 with Solo and Jacob and the Tamatanga twins? So what exactly was this dethroning of Jey Uso supposed to do? And I'll let you start off here. Of course, it was sad to see Jey lose to Braun, who he took the belt from not only just 2 weeks ago, really. But do we believe that this is the reason is so that way we could get the Usos back together, Roman together, maybe Sami Zayn together with Survivor Series coming up, only really what 4 or 5 weeks away at this point. Now, we got Crown Jewel in about a week or two. And then after that, it is going to be Survivor Series. And the biggest thing for Survivor Series is War Games 4v4. Solo has his four. Does Roman have his four? That being Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, and himself to take on the bloodline. And where does the Rock kind of play into all of this? So what are some of your thoughts?
Um, I didn't like the fact that Jay lost, but I understood why he had to lose. Now, the moment that he did win, it did come as a shock because a lot of people didn't think he was going to win. But I think it also kind of served as a an opportunity to show the fans that Triple H is capable of, sometimes booking some things that we don't really necessarily see happening or see coming. And Jay winning was a great moment just because of how long people have been clamoring for him to win a singles title. And the fact that he did was a great moment for him. I understood why he had to lose because as soon as I was watching SmackDown and seeing him step to this new iteration of the bloodline, I knew right then and there that his title reign wasn't going to be cut short. And we did get answers to that later on Raw, and that was the case. Now, I think him losing made a lot of sense because Jay, he already made it very clear he doesn't want anything to do with Roman, he doesn't want anything to do with Jimmy, he doesn't want anything to do with the bloodline at all. He wants to be his own man. He left to be his own man, to be himself. He didn't want to be part of some things that he felt like in his mind was holding him back from reaching that next step in his career. And looking at it from a different standpoint, right? Him losing makes a lot of sense because now he has a legit reason to want to fight the bloodline. He can fight alongside Roman and Jimmy, and he can probably have Sammy involved. But that does not mean he needs to be buddy buddy with Roman and Jimmy. He can come out there on SmackDown and say, "Well, I'll fight alongside y'all, but I don't like y'all. Only reason why I'm fighting is because they cost me the Intercontinental Championship. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this for Jimmy. I'm doing this for me." And he can still be, and I wouldn't mind that. Just because he joins up with Roman doesn't mean he needs to be quote unquote back with the bloodline. He can be for like a one night only type of thing. And then after that he can reintroduce himself into the Intercontinental Championship scene. And honestly, he can, just because he can still get a rematch. I mean, we seen Braun Breaker get a rematch and he won the title back. So who's to say after Survivor Series and all this stuff is over with, Jay doesn't get back involved with the IC title in the lead up to the Royal Rumble? Who's to say that
Yep.
he doesn't? So with Survivor Series coming up, yes, they need to get the ball rolling on this because they don't have a lot of time. It's come Crown Jewel. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to do like a Jimmy and Roman tag team match against two other members of the Bloodline. I feel like that's the direction that they're going to go in. But I think Jay is not going to want to be part of this. I think Sami Zayn is going to be the voice of reason. I think Sami Zayn is going to be the reason why he gets back with them. I can see a situation like that happening. I can see a situation to where, maybe Sammy gets taken out by the bloodline or something like that, or they attack him, and he steps up to help Sam. Because if we look at the entire Bloodline storyline, if we're looking at it from like last year up until this point, Sammy has been the main one that's always been true to Jay. When Jay did not like Sammy, Sammy was always by his side and always stuck by him no matter what. And when he
Right.
first came over to Raw, he had so many people that did not like Jay just because of what he did and everything that the Bloodline did to numerous wrestlers. We look at Drew. Look what happened with him. You look at it, so many people. Sammy was the only one that was on Raw that actually stuck up for Jay when everybody else did not want him on their show. So I think you introduce that factor and then have that be used to be his way to reintroduce himself into this Bloodline storyline going forward for sure.
Absolutely. I definitely think that Sammy could be the glue that brings this bloodline together back again, at least if it is just for one night. I feel like what Roman has done to Jay throughout last year and the years prior, even with the title opportunities at SummerSlam, and all the other big pay-per-views that have happened, and of course, Jimmy being one of those assets that helped Roman retain his title at that SummerSlam that we'll never forget, and
Yeah.
super kicking his own brother, forcing the Usos to subside from one another and not be tag team partners anymore. That was a big turning point in the story of this bloodline. Of course, there was many others,
Yeah.
but that was definitely something that sticks with Jay forever. Is that I was a fan. I'm family. Like even he said it last Friday on SmackDown. Like, you're my little brother. You are, well, you are a family member. We don't even talk to Jacob because he's a wild man. And if he keeps looking at me, I'm going to have to put the bricks on him. I'm going to have to stop him out real quick. Because this
Exactly.
is what the family is. Like, the family is divided. Solo, the Tamatanga twins, Jacob, they're all on one side. Roman, aka Rachel Reigns, as I call him,
Yeah.
Jimmy and Jay, they're not even really on one side. They're all kind of spattered out amongst the whole entire universe of the WWE because of everything that they put each other throughout all of this.
Yeah.
Like, there is so many more layers to this story that has been told and has been almost hidden in a sense because we maybe aren't paying attention, or just
Mm-hmm.
because that the story's just been so crazy and so engrossing us with what can happen next. Like, I can't believe this is happening. So Jimmy coming out and saving Roman and Cody was a staple. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we're coming back. They are not the ones with the new t-shirt, which I like. I got to get me one of them.
You're saying.
And then on top of that, having none other than Jay coming to SmackDown and saying no yeet to Roman, being like, look, man, we're enemies, dude. There is no coming back from this. Like, right now, I'm champion. I'm succeeding. I'm doing great. And it's without y'all. And I'm continuing to do that. But Solo knows that this has to happen. He wants to divide the family. He wants this bloodline to end in a bloody warfare. And that is where we're at. But the question is, besides Jimmy and Roman, who seemingly put their differences aside, are we going to have Jay be able to do the same? And could it just be for one night, even if it is to overpass this Bloodline 2.0? And I'm very curious to see what will happen. I kind of wish Jay had the belt going into Survivor Series, but I understand the reasoning behind it. It is another layer of this onion that we're peeling back to get more in depth to what will happen at Survivor Series. We're building to that. The Survivor Series is one of those top 5 pay-per-views that make and break stories, that continue stories into the next year, that really kind of put a mark on what's going to happen in the WWE universe. So it's very exciting. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. But of course, we will have, a lot more to talk about as these weeks continue on. And of course, here these thoughts are in the chat right now. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for joining us. Just like yourself, like others, make sure you come on by and hang out with us each and every Tuesday as we talk all things WWE, because we have a lot, of course, in that WWE universe to talk about, just like 2 hour shows. It's happened. It's happening. How do we feel about it? Do we like the fact that it's more wrestling, less promo? Do we like that it's almost feeling like a even balance between maybe promo and wrestling matches itself? Do we see now maybe the women's division getting more time or semi more time to have on TV than they once did on those 3 hour shows that really targeted the bigger storyline and bullet points that they wanted to drive home to sell into the PLEs? What are you thinking?
I mean, when it comes to me, just knowing that I grew up around seeing, SmackDown and Raw be 2 hours, and then them transitioning into the 3 hour format in 2012. I've been accustomed to seeing both play out, but I kind of got more used to the 3 hour just for the simple fact that we were getting more wrestling, and then they were actually able to get more wrestlers involved that you wouldn't see. And I think when on paper, right, when you think of the 2 hours on paper, it seems great, right? It seems like more digestible for a wrestling fan. It's less, it doesn't feel like a drag. But at the same time, I also got to think about the pacing. Will it be paced well? Will they actually just put the things that they need to be used on the show, like your bigger storylines? Like right now in Raw, regardless of how you feel about it, the Judgment Day storyline has been a pivotal part of the Monday Night Raw brand. And also, we're seeing the Wyatt Six stuff starting to take shape. We're seeing the Jey Uso story with his stuff progressing. The CM Punk and Drew stuff that recently just wrapped up. All those stories were on Raw. And on 3 hours, right? You have more opportunities to do that and then have more things that you probably want to get your point across. Maybe building up other women. I know when I first seen the episode of Raw for 2 hours, I didn't like it because of the fact that the pacing just seemed a little bit off. And then the fact that you just crammed all of your women on just into a random 10 woman tag. I didn't like that. It just felt like they weren't really trying to invest a lot of time in the women like they should be doing. And I know people have been clamoring for a women's mid card title to be introduced because that would help the women's roster, which I do agree with. But I also will say that introducing a women's mid card title right now with them having Raw being 2 hours is not the best move right now. Maybe when you introduce the women's mid card title, you wait until they go back to the 3 hour format, because now you have more time to play with. You have that third hour to play with, because with the 2 hours, they have to be in and out. They can't have these overruns. They can't, you know, it has to be precise, right? You need to have the promos be in and out. You need to have this segment. You have to transition to this segment and this match. You need to get the most important things that you're trying to get across. You can't have these random tag matches that don't really have any build up, no follow up, and aren't really going to lead to anything for any of the men involved or either the women involved. If you're doing a men's tag or a women's tag, regardless of what it is, right now I feel like Raw is starting to pick up the pace a little bit, and it's starting to hit home on a lot of things that they're trying to do. I mean, we're starting to honestly, just last night, right? I'm watching Raw, and I like the fact that they're starting to put more emphasis on the women's tag team division. They're starting to give more legs to the women's tag division. Finally, they're starting to give more legs to the men's tag team division because they're now giving you a reason to care about tag team wrestling in WWE. I feel like that was been one of the biggest things that I've always been critical on in WWE for the last couple of years, is the fact that they have not put a lot of importance or emphasis on their tag team division, whether that's men or women. But now we're starting to see that take shape. We're starting to see a tournament that's going to crown number one contenders for the tag team titles, which is giving me a reason to care about these tag teams, instead of just putting them in a meaningless tag team match that's not going to lead to anywhere, to where it's just meaning. Now we're seeing actual good tag teams that make sense. We're seeing the Viking Raiders. I'm glad that they're back. They're doing their thing. They're going to be something very special for that tag team division. We're going to talk about the Motor City, which is they're doing their thing. I'm glad that they're here. These teams are starting to actually be ramped up, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, again, really well spoken. I think we're definitely we're getting more we're getting less time. Yes, we're cutting an hour. But with that loss of an hour, we're really trying to hone in, like you're saying, on things that we didn't get a chance to do or chose not to do with the 3 hour time slot that we had previously, that a lot of us wanted to see more of, aka being the tag team division of the both men and women, the women's division itself entirely, and those things really do make and break sometimes wrestling fans that have been watching the product for X amount of years, like yourself, like me, and others listening and watching along with us. Like, that is a big thing that many of us who are watching going like, yeah, I'm happy to see Punk and Drew. I'm happy to see the Wyatt Six, but like, there's no time for the Wyatt Six. So what's going on with that? Why are we not getting more of the women's division tag team? Why are we getting shorter women's single match card lineups? Why are the women cutting promos very short compared to when they could be dragging it out just a tad bit long to get their point across, to build these matchups for the pay-per-views? Like, why are we losing the opportunity of building a very exciting tag team division? And now, because we lost the hour, we have that opportunity. We have those opportunities now to really hone in and focus on more crucial points of the show that make people want to tune in, whether you're a fan of the single competition or just the promos and storytelling, whether you like the women's division or just the women's tag team division. The fact that we're bringing a horror element to it, which I know you're a big fan of, that being the Wyatt Six, like, all of those little things do add up and make us, as fans, as viewers, as participants of this beautiful sport or entertainment that we watch, want to go there live. We want to go to these shows and be like, I'm so excited to see the Wyatt Six. I'm so excited to see the women's division. I'm so excited to see this, that, and the third. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen here and surprise moments and stuff. I think now WWE can sit back and maybe take a little vacation, you could say, on that 3 hour mark and really try to hone it in on 2 hours. I know yourself, like me, know come January, when they move over to Netflix, that's going to change. We are going back to 3 hours, and for SmackDown as well. So that's about 6 hours of wrestling between Monday and Friday. And
Yeah.
then the rumor of NXT possibly going to 3 hours is absolutely mind boggling,
Yeah.
but it's possible. But again, do we then lose more with the gain of an hour like we had previously? Does now the women's division hurt more? Do the men's division hurt more? Does the tag team become lost in the shuffle? Are we going to focus more on these promos and trying to deliver storyline beats to build up to pay-per-views more? How many men's matches are we really getting that are going to deliver the point across of why we're excited for Bad Blood or SummerSlam or Survivor Series or so on and so forth? Those things are very crucial, and the execution of those things is very crucial to ourselves who are watching the product every single week. And we really hope that that doesn't change course when it comes to Netflix. Like you said, tag team division, and we'll go to the next topic after this, that being the tag team division. Where's it been? It's starting to come back slowly. I know they've done this to us, though, previously, where they've given us the carrot and go, hey, we're going to enjoy this tag team division. And then all of a sudden, they kind of rush it. They execute it very poorly. And then it doesn't really pay off the way we wanted to. Then bringing in Motor City Machine Guns, then bringing in the Wyatt Six as a tag team, versatile type of competition. The fact that they're bringing in the War Raiders, aka the Viking Raiders, back into the mix. AOP, we have, of course, American Made, we have New Day, even New Day colliding with one another of who's going to break away first. All of that does add that excitement to the tag team division. But as we speak of the tag team division now, how excited are you? Or do we think that this is going to be one of those cut and dry, like, look, come the next couple of months, we're going to really try to focus in on this tag team division, whether it's men, whether it's women, and then maybe the execution of it at a pay-per-view might be poorly executed and it's not going to be talked about anymore? Or are we going to just be complaining about how they only really dump X amount of energy into this type of division for WWE and go back to doing what they know are the legs of the table for WWE, that being their bigger characters and storylines that they want to focus on? Do you think that adding Motor City Machine Guns was a smart move for the men's division? I know I threw a lot at you right there, but let's break it down. Do you think the tag team division is going to get the look that it deserves this time around?
I mean, I would hope so, just because they deserve a lot of shine too. They're still part of the roster. They're still, you have some great tag teams there. You have DIY, you have, Motor City, who's, I feel like, is going to add new life to the tag team division just because of the amount of success they have been able to garner across the world. And now you have them in your company, and they can be a great a tag team for whichever roster you decide to put them on. I know they're on SmackDown. They can definitely help up the roster over there. They can help, you know, um, elevate the division just because I look at them as veterans. People can learn um the tag team style from learning from one of the best tag teams to ever do it. And I would hope that, they've continued the momentum that they're on. But at the same time, we're dealing with WWE. We know that sometimes they will start something like you said and then they stop it. That's just how it is. Now, the way I see it is I can see them continuing this going on, but I think maybe once we kind of get to the 3 hour aspect again, it might go back to what it once was. Hopefully that is not the case. Hopefully they prove me wrong. But this is the one thing I always say about WWE. WWE is, yes, they do give you some great storytelling and some great matches. But the one thing about WWE that's always been about the entertainment aspect over the wrestling aspect. They want to give you the best storytelling. They want you to invest your emotions in these feuds, whether it's singles or tag team breakups. They want the emotional standpoint. That's what they mainly care about. So as much as I do love the tag team division, I hope that they do remain in a good place so that they are. And now it's one of those situations where I can say it remains to be seen, and we'll just have to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks and months.
Again, yeah, I feel you. I feel like there is a possibility that we could be getting all of our eggs in the basket again with something like this, seeing how much excitement they're going to pour into the division itself of the tag team division, and then unfortunately kind of take it away from us slowly but surely. Maybe just a bad ending to the tag team title opportunity. Maybe we're not going to see as much as we're getting from Lash Legend and Jakara, being from NXT going now to the main roster, facing none other than Bianca and Jade for an opportunity down the road, coming at Crown Jewel, because clearly that is what they're trying to point at. Again, somebody like the Wyatt Six that haven't really been on our screens since their debut and a couple weeks after, really messing around with the QR codes and stuff like that. We've had a couple of moments here and there where those QR codes definitely played into aspect, and the Miz now, I guess, joining AOP. But again, what does that mean for the Wyatt Sixes, the tag team division? Is it going to be in that mix? Will that be a thing? Or are they just going to be one of those factions or entities, I should say, that is just there and will come in and come out whenever they want to and mess around with whoever and whomever they would like to, like they did this previous night? So,
Hmm.
yeah, man, I hope that going to 3 hours doesn't hurt them in the sense of losing that momentum with the divisions that we would like to see pushed and stories we would like to see elevated to that next level. And hopefully, Motor City Machine Guns don't get that WWE treatment, I'm going to call it, where they get a big push in the beginning and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
they're kind of slowly
disappear.
going back into the back burner. Yeah, maybe they break apart and someone doesn't like somebody. One of them goes into a singles run, and so on and so forth. Like, we don't really want to see that. Like, they're better together. Of course, they're very great
Yeah,
separate, but they are better together, and that is why we're very excited to have them as a unit than solo. But speaking of Wyatt Six and QR codes, we're about what 8 9 days away, 7 days away from the spooky season itself, the greatest
yeah.
month that we are in right now. That being, of course, Halloween, and none other than the most scariest of factions of them all, the Wyatt Six, has regraced our TVs again last night, taking out none other than AOP and scaring the living bejeebus out of the Miz last night, and really making a statement of, hey, we're here and we know what's happening. Do we see something going with the Wyatt Six? We got, of course, before the unfortunate demise and passing of Bray Wyatt, we had Uncle Howdy and Bray kind of doing some very interesting storytelling. Unfortunately, we lost Bray Wyatt, so that kind of got put on the back burner. But Bo Dallas did come back to give us this new touch, this new feel. And as it was stated, I believe today, maybe sometime late last night or overnight, but Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, stated that Bray handpicked everybody that was in the Wyatt Six. So Nikki ASH, and of course Redbeard, Joe Gacy, and Dexter Loomis, now all a part of the Wyatt Six. He hand selected them to be a part of the Wyatt Six previous to his unfortunate passing, which kind of is exciting to hear. Like, oh, okay, so there is a lot of Bray still around, and that feel of Bray is still luminous around us throughout the Wyatt Six's exposure to the WWE audience. But my question to you is, where do we put the Wyatt Six with all of everything that's happening? I mean, we got the bloodline stuff, we got Punk and Drew, we got this tag team division, the debut of Motor City. We saw last night they attacked AOP. Are we getting finally AOP and the Wyatt Six? Does the Miz play into all of this? What are some of your thoughts with all of this?
I mean, I think it was bound to happen because I do know in the lead up to WrestleMania 39, I know Bray Wyatt did pull out around that time, but one of the speculations and one of the storylines they were going to push, I know on for one of them was going to be Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley, but the other one was going to be Bray Wyatt versus Karrion Cross. That was
Mm,
something else that they wanted to do, and I think what we're seeing, like you said, with him with his spirit still around, and I feel like what they're doing is they're continuing what Bray Wyatt started. This
hmm
is the continuation story of what Bray Wyatt wanted to do, and with him handpicking, that makes it even better, right? And what you said with the Miz still plays a part in it because if you think about it, when Bray Wyatt in 2019 was Universal Champion, Bray Wyatt and the Miz did have a feud, and I feel like you're starting to redo that again. What is the mission of the whole Wyatt Six? They're targeting people that have turned on their family. What did Miz just do just recently? He turned on his best friend in R-Truth, and he's getting his comeuppance for it. That's what we're
hmm
seeing. We're seeing the Wyatt Six don't need to be there every week. What I think of the Wyatt Six, they are a attraction, right? This is an attraction you can use. You don't want to overuse them, right? You want to implement them when needed. When you have a faction that's running rush shot, insert you have Wyatt Six to stop them. Right now, they come off as like heels just because of the way they look, right? But they're still fighting for a good cause. They're fighting against the people who have wronged them and have wronged people around them. That is their mission. They're fighting against the injustice. They're fighting against the bad. It's pretty much good versus evil. You're seeing what we're doing. You see what they're doing with the Karrion Cross and stuff. He's even though he's not winning titles, right? But he's still playing a huge part in the sense of they're having him be like the devil on people's shoulders. He's talked to Miz. He has talked to Xavier. We haven't seen Xavier Woods, you know, pretty much break away from the New Day, but he still has that idea that's been planted because of what Karrion Kross said. You need to leave him. You need to do your own thing. He is pretty much being the devil on people's shoulders in a sense of having people turn on their friends and turn on their family. That is what he's doing. And I feel like why the Wyatt Six are starting to take note of that is that's what his mission is. That's what Karrion Kross's mission is. And they're trying to take him out. They're trying to get rid of him. They're trying to get rid of the people that are doing stuff like this. So I see that's why they're introduced and having them cross paths like this. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully they do. It helps elevate the all we already know is the Wyatt Six are going to be elevated because we know they've been doing some great stuff. I hope the Final Testament do be elevated because of this feud and they can kind of carry that momentum post, Wyatt Six feud and continue that. And maybe that I can see, that Final Testament going after titles. The Wyatt Six, on the other hand, I don't think they need to be champions, especially like singles champions. Maybe you can have them put the tag team titles on them, but I don't think their mission is solely on being champions. Their sole mission is to take out people who have wronged their families and their friends as well. So their whole reason for coming together is family. That is their mission. Family. If you've taken out your family or friend, they're targeting you. And we're starting to see that take place on Raw.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think that the Wyatt Six, in a sense, are definitely playing to that story beat that you're saying, the turning on your family, how could you go against family type of story that we've seen countless times, of course, in the WWE with many of a great superstar or tag teams in general. I do think that maybe as of right now, we are on the cusp of seeing possibly a decent feud between AOP and the Wyatt Six, Bo Dallas and Karrion Kross one-on-one in the near future. Dexter and Redbeard attacking AOP's actual tag team, Scarlet, and of course, the AOP's guy versus none other than Nikki ASH, and maybe someone else plays into part with that as well. Joe Gacy could be someone that plays into that. Like, there's definitely an evenly matched team that we have right now to go against the Wyatt Six in any aspect of it all. There could be even a war games where we see this happening, a Halloween war games in the potential future. Maybe, maybe not. We're just shooting, squirrels in a barrel on that one. But nonetheless, we definitely could be seeing something happening between these two. And I think last night was definitely one of those statements that needed to be made that Bo Dallas needed to make, saying that even though you might not have seen us, we've been seeing you, and we know, and we are coming for you. And that being directed to none other than AOP and to the Miz entirely, because Bray and Miz did have a little feud going on back before Bray unfortunately passed on. And we could be rehashing a lot of Bray's old stuff to really put Bray, you could say, to rest, and then really move on from there to see what Bo Dallas has in store, because the gimmick looks great, costumes look great, the entrance looks great. I'm a big fan of this horror element. Always liked horror in my wrestling, Undertaker being one of them, Boogeyman being another one. Like, those extra entities brings that levity to professional wrestling that sometimes we need. Hurricane Eugene is another comedic way of kind of breaking away from this like rah, it has to be pro or nothing type of element. But this is something more. This is something exciting. There's a lot more that can be gracing our screens going forward when it comes to the Wyatt Six. So I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to do this with you, of course, because that is going to be the end of the show for tonight. We kind of wrapped up the topics pretty quickly, which I like.
Yeah.
I like it's a little shorter show. We're not trying to go too long with everything. We kind of want to get our points across and just kind of be able to have fun debates and fun conversations and stuff. So I think we definitely nailed that one here. But Leo, I'm going to let you have the screen here. Tell the people who you are, what you've been doing, anything new and exciting coming up, and then we'll get the hell up on out of here, because we got NXT in a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on there. So let me get out of here and let let the show be yours for a little bit. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, so my channel is Kicking It with Leo. I do wrestling content. I'm starting to introduce more elements of horror content as well. For all my horror fans, if you guys don't know, besides of being a wrestling fan, horror is also something I'm very passionate about, and I'm starting to try to come up with ideas to introduce that on my channel as well. But mainly, I've been doing a lot of wrestling content. You guys, I recently just uploaded a video talking about the worst matches of 2012. I did a reaction to that. So I've been mainly doing a lot of reactions, but I'm also doing a lot of just, commentary videos as well. Kind of doing a mixture of both. We're on the road to 350 subscribers, but the ultimate goal is 10K. When I do hit 10K, I will be doing a giveaway with one of my lucky subscribers, no matter who that is. It can be last weekend rest of my boy Dylan over here. It can be Hear These Thoughts. It can be anybody, one of you guys that do come across this channel, and you guys will win a WWE Championship from WWE Shop. So if you want to be a part of that, go subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. You can always change your mind in the future, but why would you guys want to do that? I'm trying to give you guys daily wrestling content. The grind does not stop. But I will also be doing NXT this week. Not tonight, but I will be trying to stream NXT this Sunday. I'm also considering doing TNA Bound for Glory as well. So I will try to keep you guys up to date, because TNA will be hosting Bound for Glory this Saturday, and then NXT is that Sunday. So a busy weekend for sure. And then next week we have Crown Jewel. So it's going to be a very busy week, and predictions out for these shows, and also the live stream as well, which I know is going to be really fun. Hopefully, if we've been saying it for so long, maybe it's finally the time Joe Hendry reached the top of the mountain. Yes, I'm calling for it. Joe Hendry for your TNA World Champion.
Love that. I love that. And I love you, Leo. Thank you so much for being on. We're going to drop you down for a quick second, and don't go away, because after we close out the show, we can have a little conversation and stuff. But I want to thank everybody here tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Every single Tuesday, we are going to be talking about straight WWE stuff and a little bit of NXT as well, as long as there's some very exciting new and breaking stuff happening along the way. So we're covering SmackDown, we're covering Raw, and a little bit of NXT as well. So do not go away. And of course, every Thursday we are going to be doing AEW. Sundays is going to be a thing called the Wrestling Roundup, where we kind of cover all of the big promotions, whether AEW, WWE, New Japan, TNA, New Japan Noah. I don't know why that took a little minute to get out, but indie promotions and so much more. So definitely make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you give my boy Leo a nice friendly sub over there. Get him to 10K. Christmas is coming. That'll be a nice Christmas present. And I need my belt. I don't know why he's saying that someone else is going to be getting the belt. I don't know why he doesn't just say it's my belt up at this point, but he's giving me the belt. I don't know what the rest of you jabronis out there. I already know what belt I want, and it's the most expensive one of them all, because I'm trying to run his pockets in any way, shape, and form to get that damn belt. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much. I will definitely see you on the next one. Of course, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and we'll see you Thursday for AEW. Again, thank you all. See you next time.